Hello there and welcome to TVS Nightline, where you get to know what's going on in Sarawak, its regions and the world. Here with me, Shosha Metro, and let's get to the headlining stories. It was a smooth vaccination day for students aged 13 to 15 from 4 schools here in Kuching on its third day of vaccination for students in the age group. A visit to the Dewan Majma PPV found that majority of the students and their parents arrived on time, according to their scheduled appointment time, and the process at the centre proceeded smoothly.
I think ini merupakan satu langkah yang amat baik untuk remaja because they are the group yang mudah terdedah. So like myself sudah complete dose and then alhamdulillah I feel secure and safe. So untuk remaja lain dan parents lain is very good dan satu advice supaya get vaccinated.
Just take the vaccine lah, it's good for you.
Meanwhile, PPV Dewan Majma coordinator Muhammad Hafiz Ali said a total of 4 schools are being inoculated at a vaccination centre on Saturday.
Secara keseluruhannya, satu hari kita ada melibatkan 1,300 student dan jika dicampur dengan parents sekali, dia akan melibatkan darab 2 lah. So untuk sekolah-sekolah yang terlibat dalam jadual yang saya nyatakan tadi, mohon hadir mengikut jadual yang dinyatakan lah dan harap alert dengan cikgu-cikgu yang telah dimaklumkan lah.
Also seen making his round at the centre today was Kuching South City Council or MBKS Mayor Dato' Wee Hong Sang.
To appeal to all these school students, remember when you are young, your parents is taking care of you. Next time, when they're getting old, you have to do the same to them. So those are the things that you can actually see, through this pandemic. In actual fact, you have put all the people together. I think that is what we call Sarawak spirit. We should carry on with this type of spirit and fight this pandemic together.
And Sarawak is ready to receive tourists in the state after the 14-day mandatory quarantine is lifted. With this relaxation, tourism industry players are ready to revive the sector with various products and activities.
Tourism, Arts and Culture Assistant Minister Dato' Sebastian Ting said the ministry had been planning for the various activities and products for this year's tourism calendar for 18 months, but they had to be put on hold due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
We have the products we have there, planned for activities actually for the year 2021. When I launched it early January time, we have 119 activities. But it's because of the COVID cases been so high, and then there was no relaxation at that time for people to come in and out, quarantine and all that. So that was that. Actually prevented people from coming in. You come in 14 days quarantine, nobody will come.
Sebastian also pointed out that the COVID-19 vaccination rate in the state has reached 90% for the first and second dose, which justifies Sarawak's readiness to open its borders for tourism. However, the ultimate decision lies with the Sarawak Disaster Management Committee, SDMC.
And then for us, our ministry, we are ready. They made decision, but we are ready to open up. Okay, phase 3 and above can open. Phase 1, phase 2, you still cannot. It is for SDMC. They say for Miri. Miri already for phase 3, we can open up.
A week after the announcement that Sarawak was touted to be the next tourism bubble destination after Langkawi, it begs the question, are we really ready to welcome visitors? Last week, we interviewed local tourism players for their input regarding the announcement. And this week, TVS spoke with Sarawak Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture Secretary Hee Chang-Ki to unearth the preparedness on reviving the tourism sector. This is the first part of a 2-part series on the Sarawak travel bubble.
I think this is very exciting for all the tourism players in the state, including airlines, tour agencies, hoteliers, public transport, tour guides, homestays, destination operators, restaurants, and souvenir shops. So ever since the pandemic struck in 2020, besides incentives by the Sarawak state government through Bantuan Khas Sarawak Usayan or BKSS from the state, and also various aids and subsidies from the federal government, the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture Sarawak and our agencies have been engaging very actively with the tourism industry players in reviewing, planning, and strategizing for short-term recovery initiatives and also long-term plans. And such plans, of course, includes the post-COVID-19 Development Strategies 2030 or PCDS, and also our Sarawak Tourism Master Plan 2021 to 2035. So these plans are very timely, and it is through these engagements and recovery measures, we always try to motivate our tourism industry players to remain resilient, to build up their capacity, and also get ready for the return of our dear tourists. So I think keeping our fingers crossed, we are looking forward to reopening Sarawak's border for tourism very, very.
He noted that health and safety protocols are two main factors in ensuring a safe reopening and tourist comeback.
We managed to have a head start, of course, if you remember our Siasitok domestic tour campaign, which actually sold 5,668 Sarawakians, taking up about 941 tour packages, which are discounted at 50% in 2020. And we are happy to note that these Siasitok tours were done very smoothly with everyone involved observing strict protocols, SOPs set by SDA.
Throughout the pandemic, the local tourism industry had to adapt to ride the tide. Hotels had been converted into quarantine centres, while tour buses and vans had been used to ferry COVID-19 patients and travellers entering Sarawak to the dedicated quarantine facilities. And the question is, are the facilities available enough to cater for the inbound domestic tourists?
Sarawak, I think for the cost of COVID-19, it will be just like a lot of other places opening up. We probably will not be seeing mass tourist influx like what happened in Langkawi, because Sarawak, I think we still is actually looking at very niche market, just like what we have done before, right? So with health protocols in place, the tour operators definitely they are ready, okay, with their transportation, with their packages, and also necessary protocols in place for tour guides, destination owners, and so on. So I believe Sarawak, we are ready, right? And then we would not foresee a situation like in Langkawi where there is a sudden influx of tourists, but I believe those are mainly domestic, right? So as I said just now, our Siasitok domestic package has been going on very smoothly without what we have seen in other places with a mass influx of visitors to beaches and so on, okay? So we are ready.
And now on to the next update. An army veteran perished after he was involved in a head-on collision at kilometers 18 Jalan Kanawit, Durin. The ill-fated incident occurred around 4:50 p.m. on Friday. The deceased, identified as Francis Among Bunda, 42, who hailed from Rumah Panjang Membuas Nangga Arau, Lubuk Mulong in Muka, was pronounced dead at the scene by medical personnel.
Kanawit District Chief Deputy Superintendent Tega Bilong said the accident was believed that prior to the collision, the four-wheel drive vehicle was making its way to Machan, while Francis, who was riding his motorcycle, was travelling from the opposite direction, veered into the opposite lane and collided head-on with the four-wheel drive. Tega added that the driver tried to avoid the collision but to avail.
Hasil siasatan pihak kami, kemalangan yang berlaku di kilometer 18 Jalan Kanawit Durin pada jam 4.50 petang semalam yang melibatkan dua buah kenderaan di mana lelaki yang menunggang motosikal jenis Yamaha Legenda telah memasuki laluan bertenangan dan telah melanggar hadapan sebelah kanan kenderaan pacuan 4 roda iaitu jenis Toyota Hilux yang dipandu oleh seorang lelaki berusia 64 tahun. Pemandu terbabit dipercayai cuba mengelak ke sebelah kiri jalan, namun pertembungan tetap berlaku kerana jarak terlalu dekat. Akibat itu, penunggang motosikal disahkan meninggal dunia di tempat kejadian oleh pihak paramedik Hospital Kenawit.
The driver was unharmed during the incident. The case is being investigated under Section 41(1) of the Road Transport Act 1987.
Memulakan langkah pertama memerlukan 1000 kekuatan. Langkah seterusnya memerlukan nekat dan juga keyakinan. Namun anda semua perlu menyokong dan juga membantu mereka kerana kepilihan itu pasti.
ช่วงนั้นไพร่ฟ้าหน้าใสคงไม่มีเรื่องอะไรให้ร้องทุกข์เท่าไหร่หรอก แต่ถ้าเป็นคนกรุงเทพดิ
Karaket memujuk dek untuk membawanya ke Talat Noi. Malangnya, karaket dan dek mengalami kemalangan sehingga tidak sedarkan diri. Apakah yang akan terjadi kepada mereka? Saksikan Love Destiny Isnin hingga Jumaat 6.15 petang hanya di TVS saluran 122 Astro dan My TV.
Welcome back to the Nightline with the COVID-19 development. Sarawak today recorded 2,712 COVID-19 infections, bringing the cumulative number of COVID-19 cases to 196,146. Despite being the top COVID-19 cases contributor among states and territories in the nation, only 5 cases or 0.18% are of Category 3, 4 and 5.
Kuching today registered the most COVID-19 cases in the state with 888 cases, followed by Cebu with 320 cases and Miri with 190 cases. Sarawak recorded 10 more fatalities from COVID-19 today, of which 8 cases were reported between September 17 and 23 and 2 cases on September 24, bringing the death toll to 749 people. Meanwhile, 1 new cluster was registered today, named the Julin Dabai cluster, which was reported to be a community cluster involving a longhouse in Sungai Dabai, Marudi. On the other hand, 5 clusters in the state have ended today as there were no cases detected among the clusters in the past 28 days. Malaysia recorded 13,899 COVID-19 cases today, adding the total number of infections since the pandemic began to 2,185,131.
With Undi 18, we'll have a chance to give the younger generation a say and what happens in their immediate future and empower them for a lifetime. The assumption that teens are uninformed and will make poor decisions is unfounded, and by lowering the voting age, it will help ease them into their role as democratic citizens, thereby a mechanism to educate them of their primaries in order for the youth to undergo a magical transformation on their 18th birthday as a certified voter.
Personally, I would actually practice my rights to vote, like you said, because I think it will do more good for the country, because we need a way to speak for our generation. So it's good to have a new ideas, new minds, so that we can improve the country more.
By giving his vote, the 17-year-old student wants to see an improvement in the education system by introducing modules or subjects that are more interactive and engaging.
Socialism, where you get to go out and socialize with people, like talk to people, like interact with other people that is not within the school. you do some social activities, ask people questions, see what is their thinking, what they're thinking, all that lah, basically.
Benjamin stated the implementation of Undi 18 is a timely decision as the younger generation are even more vocal and unafraid to voice or express their thought. However, it was not the case for Syed Daniel Edrus Wan Muhammad, who said Undi 18 should have been implemented a few years ago. Even so, he would be practicing his rights as a Malaysian willingly and would be appreciative if more empowerment are given to young entrepreneurs just like himself.
Personally, think that the government should have done this a long time ago, and based on what I vote, on my aspiration as someone who aspires to become an entrepreneur in the future, right now, I'm sort of doing a smaller scale of entrepreneurship and also like to see more empowerment of youth in arts, culture, music, esports, and upcoming lucrative industry of the future. As an aspiring entrepreneur, I would love to have more policies that will empowerment youth in pursuing entrepreneurships in terms of grants, networking, and connections, both regionally and internationally.
Meanwhile, for Ziegler Sigat Wonder, a 20-year-old who's currently working as a waiter, Undi 18 is a platform where the younger generation can indirectly be involved in the administration of the country. It would allow them to choose who they deem is capable in fulfilling their aspirations, therefore prompting him to vote willingly.
I think, yes, there should be a lot more improvements, as in like giving more opportunities to younger generations, as in like fresh graduates or whoever just finished high school straight away. Maybe some of them could have a lot of background where they can really help in situations like this, like climate changes, or maybe job opportunities in bigger industries, such as like all this forestry or whichever that can help. This younger generation might have better ideas, brighter ideas for anything. Opportunities such as be given in a little things such as esports right now, which is very famous. It's almost everywhere. Everybody's doing streaming whatsoever. It could actually help the country it can help putting a name on the country to world level. So I think it's a good way for the younger generations to vote and to use all those news, information from social media or anywhere they could find, to find the right path to vote for the elections of our country, which can lead to better outcome, maybe, hopefully.
Meanwhile, the Science, Technology and Innovation Ministry is targeting 5,000 job opportunities through the implementation of various programs and initiatives next year. Its Minister Dato Sri Dr. Adam Bapa said a total of 4,145 individuals in deep technology and related fields had obtained jobs through similar initiatives carried out in January until the end of August this year.
He welcomed Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob's call on the implementation of the National Job Creation Strategic Plan to empower the Malaysian workforce to be more resilient, highly skilled and internationally renowned. He said Mosti, as a permanent member of the National Employment Council (NEC), focused on the Deep Tech and Future Skills cluster, which played an important role in driving the growth of new and modern sectors, as well as accelerating the adoption of the artificial intelligence, AI, automation, and drones.
Dahulunya, Kota Semarahan merupakan sebuah daerah kecil yang dikenali sebagai Muara Tuang. Berdasarkan Jabatan Perangkaan Negeri Sarawak, kawasan ini didiami seramai 103,200 penduduk yang merupakan 46.3% penduduknya kaum Melayu. Manakala 53.7% lagi merupakan kaum Iban, Bidayu, Cina dan lain-lain. Menariknya di sini, di Virtual Park merupakan taman tema realiti maya pertama di Borneo. Projek Perumahan Spektra akan membina lebih daripada 1,200 unit rumah mampu milik untuk merealisasikan impian anak tempatan memiliki kediaman sendiri. Tidak dilupakan, projek pemasangan paip baru dijangka akan menyelesaikan masalah bekalan air yang membelenggu rakyat Semarahan sebelum ini.
Thank you for staying with me. In less than 3 days, badminton fans will get front row seats to national singles ace Lee Zijia's appearance at the Sudirman Cup 2021 in Vantaa, Finland, as this year's outing will surely be different for the 23-year-old Zijia, as he's set to steer Malaysia's challenge as team captain for the first time in a mixed team tournament.
Not only that, a tricky journey lies ahead for Zijia and company to make a statement in this tournament, as the average age of the team will be 22, with mixed doubles player Chia Yisi being the oldest at 26. However, it seems like Zijia, who is also the All-England 2021 champion, has received strong backing from former world number 1 Dato' Lee Chong Wei ahead of the tournament, which begins tomorrow. The badminton legend, who led the national team to their highest ever achievement in the tournament by winning the bronze medal in 2009, believes that Zijia has the ability to inspire the young blood to hit their best smashes. As the pillar of hope for the team, Chong Wei, 38, also wished to see Zijia make the Sudirman Cup 2021 as an avenue for him to prove his worth on leading Malaysia in team events for years to come. Casting his mind back on being team captain from 2009 until 2017 in the Sudirman Cup, Chong Wei admitted that he always did his best to motivate other players and hoped that Zijia will do the same. Meanwhile, Chong Wei described the Sudirman Cup 2021 as a good platform for the youngsters to step up further, as they will gain valuable experience and exposure playing against more established players. Malaysia will take on England in their opening Group D match on Monday, September 27, followed by Egypt on September 28, before wrapping up the group fixtures against the 2019 runners-up Japan on September 30th.
And now on to world affairs. Intensifying volcanic explosions on the Spanish island of La Palma forced firefighters to retreat and authorities to evacuate 3 more towns on September 24. Canary Islands Emergency Services had initially told residents to stay indoors to avoid the dense cloud of ash and lava fragments, but later decided to evacuate due to the heightened risk from explosions.
Since erupting on Sunday, the Cumbre Vieja volcano has spewed out thousands of tons of lava, destroyed hundreds of houses, and forced the evacuation of thousands of people. No serious injuries or fatalities have been reported, but about 15% of the island's economical crucial banana crop could be at risk, jeopardizing thousands of jobs. A cloud of toxic gas and ash extends more than 4 kilometers into the sky, the Canaries Volcanology Institute said on Thursday. It has begun to drift northeast towards the Mediterranean and Spanish mainland, the National Weather Agency said. Airspace above the island remains open apart from the 2 small areas near the eruption site.
Several thousand climate activists, including Sweden's Greta Thunberg, demonstrated in Berlin on September 24 to pressure candidates competing to succeed Chancellor Angela Merkel at this weekend's German general election. The strike marks the return of the youth climate protests that in 2019 drew more than 6 million people onto the streets before the COVID-19 pandemic largely halted the mass gatherings and pushed much of the action online.
And it's been a really turbulent last year and a half. This has been a time where we have been reminded of how vulnerable we are. But we have also been reminded of how fast things can change and be turned completely upside down. But while all this has happened, of course, the climate crisis hasn't disappeared, and we have not disappeared. The concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere hasn't been this high for at least 3 million years.
Germany has long been in the vanguard of climate activism, giving birth to the first Green Party to win national prominence, and all parties are committed to action on climate change. Meanwhile, young people around the world began to take to the streets to demand urgent action against climate change in the largest protest since the start of the pandemic. The strike takes place 5 weeks before the UN COP26 summit, which aims to secure more ambitious climate action from world leaders to drastically cut the greenhouse gas emissions heating the planet. The United Nations said last week that countries' commitments would see global emissions increase to be 16% higher in 2030 than they were in 2010, far off the 45% reduction by 2030 needed to limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius.
A Kenyan teenager wants the world to take climate change seriously before the planet becomes an unlivable place. Rahima Paulette pulled off a demonstration in the western Kenyan city of Kisumu, accompanied by 50 young demonstrators for a peaceful march against climate change.
Climate justice!
Rahima has been the center in a number of protests to fight climate change. When she's not organizing protests, Paulette would take part in various cleanup and recycling activities at after-school hours.
So there has been an increase in pollution as the years goes by. And today we've luckily collected many tons of plastic waste and also other waste. So this also comes out, reflects on the idea of people not actually taking the proper waste management issue as serious. So we're trying to do the sensitization to the community in order for them to get the knowledge.
The protests Rahima had been organizing are part of her continuous efforts in advocating the importance of strategizing the food system that had been heavily scrutinized due to its contribution in releasing harmful gases into the atmosphere. She said climate change should be addressed as passionately and as urgently as a global pandemic.
This climate strike means a lot in terms of having an importance to our current life. Like right now, it's being determined and also tries to strategize on the food system, climate change crisis, and also the global issues that are affecting us, like the global pandemic, and how we can actually utilize our time in order to save the future that we behold, in also making the fruits that we're bearing right now to be enjoyed by the future generation. My message to the older generations and the African leaders in regards to the climate strike is that we need to work together in terms of enhancing more future sustainable projects and having more eco-friendly business that won't be part of the people or even the initiatives that are increasing the carbon footprint in the atmosphere, which will lead to the global warming and climate change.
And that concludes TVS Nightline for tonight. And here at TVS, we would like to congratulate adolescents who have completed their immunization program earlier this week, and to always be mindful and stay vigilant. Here with me, Shosha Merto, and I'll see you next time. Have a good weekend.